everybody, and welcome to the Business Unfiltered series. I'm Rick Plaskett, a certified business and leadership coach here in Ohio, and today my guest is Ken Taylor. He is the founder of Common Courtesy Cleaning. Today we're going to talk to him about his business, some of his challenges. He just shared with me some of the unforeseen opportunities of his business and share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business today. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe so you can get notifications in the future of our new conversations. Ken, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Hey Rick, thank you for having me. It's a delight to wake up on this Monday morning and sit down with you.
Super, super. Hey, for the audience, would you give us a brief overview of what got you here today as being the founder and the owner of the company, and tell us a little bit about what the company does?
I grew up in Northwest Ohio. Blue collar background, came from a blue collar family. So I would say my journey down this road is been that of hard work. I started working when I was about 14, sealing asphalt. And from there, I never stopped, whether it be in sports or educationally or in the workforce, just continued to build and grow. And my wife and I moved down to Central Ohio in 2009. We were seeking an opportunity for a fresh start. And with the ever changing world, it made sense for us to be closer to a metropolitan area. That way we could get exposure to, new education and a new perspective. I would say a rural upbringing versus a metropolitan upbringing has some very stark differences in the way that we conduct our day-to-day lives. But we felt like there were things to learn. So we moved down to Central Ohio and we found work. And I would say, it was about 8 years. I was looking and asking, the good Lord to show me the way. What am I supposed to be truly doing? Bumped around from warehouses to factories. And then I fell into mitigation and restoration work. And I tried to run. I honestly, my first month, I tried to run away from it. Cleaning up some of the hazardous things that we do is trying, both on your patients and your stomach. So it took a bit for me to warm up to it. But with that, I had opportunity to travel. Ended up in Saginaw, Michigan, the Midland, Michigan area. Got to work for some great people up there after some flooding in that area. And that was where I fell in love with it. I realized that it wasn't work and we were assisting the community. We were helping restore people's lives. And being a restorer is it's a heavy title to carry. But that led me down the road to just dive in head first. At that time, I was an assistant. I didn't lead a truck. I didn't lead a team. And quite frankly, at that time, I could barely lead myself. I was still trying to figure all that out. But through working on that truck, I eventually started running my own. And then before you knew it, I was the operations manager and I would oversee the division. So I had 6 teams under me. Of course, when I started, when we built that up, we only had one, but we built that up to 6 teams, which has grown quite a bit since then for that particular company. But we took those opportunities, we grew, and it got to a point of, burnout, and I would say, and took a step back from there, educated myself on sales, relationship building, and just establishing yourself within the market as a viable source, without the idea of accomplishing a monetary gain, just being someone that folks could lean on. And then from there, I found an opportunity to be a general manager for another company. So we grew that fine establishment quite a bit in the first 2 years, over 600%. Um, but at the end of the day, the voice in the back of my head um, just kept screaming at me, you should really build your own ship. If if you build it, they will come. Um, so my wife and I, while I was in that role, began to lay the foundation. We established our LLC. She took on the role of um, sales, AR, AP, as well as technician to help lay those blocks while I filled my full time role with my previous company. And then finally, in August of 2024, we made the decision that I should step away from my W 2 and focus on common courtesy full time. And we haven't looked back since. It's been wonderful.
Super, super. So tell us a little bit about Common Courtesy, what you do, and who's your ideal customer.
So we don't have a specified ideal customer. Anyone with a home or a commercial space that they rent or own that wants cleaning services would be considered an ideal client. I mean, we do carpet cleaning, tile and grout, VCT, strip and wax, things of that nature. We started as a turn cleaning company. So when the tenant moves out of the apartment or the homeowner decides they want to put their house on the market, we would go in and do those final touch cleans
Mhm.
before photos and open houses. And, um, that's also a part of our business. I think being able to offer a wide variety of services that all tie together is a great business plan and structure because it allows us to be flexible. And
Okay.
then from there, we help with devastation. So, if your toilet overflows or your sump pump fails or the sewage line clogs and backs up into the house, um, someone burns something on the stove or, God forbid, something worse, an electrical fire. Um, Mold, within crawl spaces or in the attic because of lack of ventilation, and then also bio and trauma. So, from the simplest of things, just light dust or drywall dust after construction cleaning, all the way through. Half the house is burned up, and we need to prep it so it's ready for reconstruction. We handle all of that.
Super, super, super. So to set the stage for the viewers here, what's the current ownership of the company? Are you the sole owner or are there outside investors?
No, sir. I am the sole owner of this company. We have taken a grassroots, old-fashioned approach to building this company, knocking on doors,
Mhm.
calling on the phone, sending out emails, joining local groups to get to know our community. We're building it on our backs. We're not building it off of the checkbook of a quote shark who
Okay.
wants to invest.
Super, congratulations. So you've told me a lot about what you have your wife doing in the business, but what occupies your role currently? What roles do you play in the business?
So currently I handle 100% of the mitigation and restoration work.
Okay.
There have been a couple times where she's come out to assist me on larger projects. But when it comes to the water cleanup, the dry outs, assembling files for insurance providers and homeowners alike, I handle 100% of that. When it pertains to some of the cleanup, I'll tell you, if I have a slow day, I will go in the field and help with some general cleanings, and I'm not above it. If the schedule allows it, I'm there to help. Um,
Super.
but I'd say
Okay.
more days than not, you can guarantee I'm out cleaning some carpet or some tile and grout. Those are our
Super.
day to days.
So that is working in the business, working on the business to build your future.
Yes,
What's the
sir.
business going to look like at the end of this year, at the end of 3 years? How would you what type of percentage would you put on the amount of time on average that you are in the business versus building the business?
I would say we're probably at a 60-40.
Okay.
60% of my time I'm working physically.
Hmm.
40% of the time I am working or spending time with folks in the community. Um,
Okay.
uh, in some cases, I'll help with AR and AP and things of that nature. I do handle a lot of our marketing, our posts, our social media stuff.
Okay.
Um, so
So let's,
it's
if we can, you just said the magic word, and I just love this category. So if we can dive into it just a little bit deeper, and that's marketing. What's working for you right now, and what's not working for you?
um so we don't spend a dime on clicks. Um,
Hmm.
so I see great fluctuation. I would say the internet is mostly not working for us.
Okay.
Now we're not spending money on it either, which even if we were spending money on it, if we're not allocating the right amount of dollars in comparison to our competitors, you're still not going to see us. So to me, it's more about maintaining the local clicks. On occasion we get a call from the internet, but what's really working for us is word of mouth. Um, I would say 90. Last year I said 90% of our clients return. But this year, our phones continue to ring. And when you know, it's not just new folks, it's folks that we haven't heard from for 6 to 14 months. So return business, word of mouth, I'd say 98% of the folks who have our service call us back. And I would say 50% of them refer us a new client.
Super. It's interesting that across all of America, whether it's large company or a small one like yours, 65% of all business is word of mouth. So you can see some big advertisements on TV and some big companies that are putting a lot of money in marketing, and yet 65% of all business. When you look at business and when you look at your growth of business, if you look at that, whether you're spending money on a billboard, on TV, or you're focusing on your word of mouth, buying new customers is the way to look at it, is how much does it take to get that one new customer that now becomes your lifetime customer and comes back again and again and again. When you understand that principle, it really can take and manage your marketing and your marketing resources, whether it's money or time. Because right now, what you're saying is zero on the money side, probably a whole lot more than zero on the time, the dedication side, the sweat equity, if you will. I call that guerrilla marketing.
I like that.
Okay. Super, super. So in that area, do you have a specific desire or goal for the growth for the end of this year?
Um, I mean, we have a dollar figure in mind that
Hmm.
we would like to see grossed by the end of the year.
Okay.
Um, and I certainly think it's possible. We're slightly below that pace right now.
Okay.
Um, but most would say we haven't hit either of our peak seasons. So we have plenty of time to make up
Hmm.
some ground. Currently, though, we are still 25% ahead of where we were last year at this time. Um,
Congratulations. Good.
Thank you. And for me, the big win is my wife is in the field about 50% of the time compared to what she was last year. So,
Okay. And is she liking it? Is it still a happy life, happy family?
oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good.
She's
Good.
actually she's taken the opportunity to learn more. Um,
Okay.
So,
Super. Super. I'm glad to hear that. That's a good pace. Recognizing that you have 2 seasons that are still ahead of you. I hope you recognize that as the business owner, you've got to get ahead of those seasons. So if you haven't positioned and prepared for those, I'm dealing with customers right now, some of my clients, and it was 2 months ago that we started talking about what type of special marketing they were going to do for Mother's Day, for Father's Day, for graduation, for everything. If we're looking at May right now and you're just now thinking about it, that opportunity's already gone. That's something that you really have to be purposeful and look at positioning what marketing resources you will do and how they all dovetail together. Because if we're just doing shotgun effect, yeah, a couple of them are going to hit, but it's not a real good planned marketing where you are constructively going after the best leads and the best opportunities.
no, you're right. And I, so a lot of our approach is also controlling our growth.
Hmm.
I've worked in places where uncontrolled growth was that was the game plan. Let's flood ourselves with so much that we can't think straight.
Hmm.
In some cases we can't even sleep. Uh, and for me, as a way of maintaining our reputation and our standards of quality, um, I've tried to control how quickly we grow. That way, those building blocks have been placed individually with care and detail. That way, as we build this foundation up, we don't have to worry about the base giving out.
I would agree with you completely. When you say control, it's more about projection, okay? Being able to look into the future and to build towards what you want instead of building in the rearview mirror. It's like driving your car. You hit a pothole, you look in the rearview mirror, oh shoot, that's what I just hit. Versus looking out the windshield and predicting and driving around the pothole so you don't hit it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
In business, when you have the ability to decide, hmm, not necessarily a dollar sign that we want to grow, but what do I need if I do grow that? With my clients at the beginning of the year, we set 3 budgets for growth. A default one that's based on a specific growth from last year, and then we go up 50 to 100%, and we go down 50%. And the purpose of those projections are so that we know when we're trending one way or the other before we hit that pop hole, we can look at and make the decisions. What do we have to do? Instead of if everything tanks and I'm carrying extra people for 3 months and then deciding, oh, shoot, after losing all that money, I now have to let them go. Or in the projection side of, ooh, I'm riding at the razor's thin edge right now of overtime and driving myself into oblivion and doing that for 2 months so that you're so bone tired you can't hire, as opposed to saying, I hire somebody now that's going to help me get going. When people hire new people, particularly at the point that you're at right now, you should be looking at when you hire that person is going to produce 3 to 5 times the total revenue of what their total compensation package is. So you should be looking at, ooh, I'm running a 4-cylinder engine now. What's it going to look like when I have a V8? Ooh,
Yes,
but
sir.
being able to project that and decide to build it as it's coming. You don't have to build it and it will come. You just have to look at when are the signs there for me to grow the business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I really like how you do three different structures. Um, a baseline model of
Mhm.
low expectation, what to expect if we follow what we did last year. Uh, a model to really push your mind and your team to reach, and then
Mhm.
a worst case scenario. Um, I mean, that's great strategic planning.
I don't know about you, but it just drives me nuts to be driving down a road and watch somebody in front of me tap their brakes like 14 times for nothing. And it's like running your business and you're tapping your brakes because you don't want to grow too fast. That's telling me you haven't thought about what if success happens?
Hmm.
How do I position? You're planning for failure. Whether you look in the mirror and admit it or not, you're planning for, oh shoot, what if? So you're playing a defensive game. Okay? The only way to win is to play an offensive game. The defense counts. You got to have that in your plan. But you should also look at every single play, every single sales call as this is going to be a yes. What if it is a yes? Am I ready for it? When you can answer those last two questions, stuff is just going to start flowing your way. It's there's a book out there, The Law of Attraction. And when you think that way and you're willing to not tap the business brakes, the phone starts ringing, stuff starts coming in. A great person just happens to come by out of the nowhere, and all of a sudden it's your next new superstar employee. So I just invite you to open up to look that way and don't be afraid to go, what if? And that goal is way out there and just being prepared. I had a number of clients in the pandemic, and there was a lot of change that we weren't expecting. And we started taking and dissecting the what ifs down to core elements. What am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? And we started finding opportunities for businesses in areas that they hadn't done business in before. We not only survived, we thrived. And so it was just being prepared to say yes. And then all of a sudden those opportunities come in, you know. Let me conclude that part with I want to know your viewpoint on the word goal. Okay. And let me give you some examples on this. There's a full bell curve on goal. And me as a former military guy, mission first, there's no substitute for victory. I looked at it, if I didn't hit a goal, it was a failure. So if I knew I could hit two, two was my goal. It took my coach many, many months to say, no, Rick, your goal is much more than that. And I started to realize, okay, if my goal was 10, maybe I didn't know how to get there. That was a good goal because it caused me to grow. And when I hit four, it was a whole lot better than two. It may not have been 10, but it was a whole lot better than two. But I grew. And so since then, I've been doing that, setting big goals and even setting stretch bigger goals for myself in order to push and grow the company. And many, many times I don't hit the 10, but dang, it sure is nice to hit the 8 or 9 when I
Yes,
was
sir.
thinking of just two, you know? It's
So,
again, it's little mind games that you're playing, but it's the way in which you look at the world. And when you look at the world from a positive point of view, you use the same energy as when you look at the world from a negative point of view. It's the same amount. You're just now accepting the possibility of a yes.
and you're absolutely right. I mean, I've learned a lot of things from great minds like Zig Ziglar,
Hmm.
um, and something something that Zig Ziglar always iterates is there is no such thing as a failure. Um, and when you set goals, you should expect to miss on some of them from time to time. Now, I was raised in a military household, so whatever the goal was or the objective to complete, if you didn't complete it, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So I was kind of raised in that mental cycle that was failure. But great minds helped me realize that there is no failure unless you don't learn. Now thankfully my family was always teaching and instructing,
Hmm.
but that those specific words were never said out loud.
Hmm.
So it wasn't until I started reading and studying these things that I realized that maybe you bring those goals back, you set yourself some attainable things that I know this will be done. And then you also have those big ones off into the distance that, well, if I accomplish these small ones and we chip away, eat this elephant one small bite at a time, um, by the time we get to the end, we will have consumed the entire elephant and the goal will be met.
You're absolutely right, Ken. Zig Ziglar, Sir Richard Branson, they all have the benefits of a very, very large bank account that they have built.
Mm-hmm.
So they try four ventures and three of them fail millions of dollars miserably. Okay. They look at that and go, I learned. Many of us don't have those bank accounts. And so we can't afford to have a failure because every single failure is another drip out of that bank account. And cash is king in any business. We've got to maintain that. So it's all levels of learning, levels of sophistication.
Mm-hmm.
The mindset is still the same. It's just how fast you're pushing on the accelerator and being responsible in a car that can't do 100 miles an hour, but doing the best that you can in that car is absolutely where you should be. And then when you have the opportunity to trade up, then you learn how to drive a faster car, a bigger business. In business, there's all the same. We all want new customers. We all want the customers to pay us more, and we all want more profit at the end of the day. Okay. It's like a Volkswagen and a Porsche. They're both pretty much built on the same chassis. One happens to go a whole lot faster than the other, but they still have four wheels, a steering wheel, and a brake and an accelerator. Business is the same thing. The chassis is the same. We just have to modify it over time to be able to perform better for us. You know,
Yes, sir.
you had mentioned in our previous conversation the potential and the need to hire people. What's your mindset around that? Just curious.
So it's really it's really making sure that we're in a position where we can fully support someone. So I guess
Hmm.
my view of hiring people is not like that of a lot of the leaders that I've worked beneath. My view of hiring someone is being able to help them improve their life, um, or give them some kind of steady ground in their life if that's what they're looking
Hmm.
for. Um,
Hmm.
so when I think of bringing people on to the team, I'm not just thinking about that individual. I'm not just thinking about our company's needs. I'm thinking about that individual's family, um,
Hmm.
their wife or husband, their children, um, even in some cases their parents. How would, if something were to go awry, how would this negatively impact this individual? Um, to me, so for me, I'm in business because I like to be in business. I think I can help change the way business is done in our country, by being a good example and leading properly. And as we bring people in, I want them to have a good attitude, to enjoy coming in, to not feel the angst for myself or anyone a part of our leadership team, that maybe myself or other individuals have felt over the years and working, for another individual. There was a time, and I always hear about this, but I only experienced it once, and it was when I was young, where teams or companies that would employ people, and those employees had great bonds, And I feel like the bonds within our country have been broken for the better part of 25 years. So when I think of bringing folks on, I I think of their families. I think of things behind the scenes. I want to make sure folks are comfortable. I I've gotten in trouble over the years because I don't look at the P&L, because the reality is, Rick, I can feel it. I know what I can feel it in my soul, whether we're winning on a P&L sheet or not. I don't need to see it on a piece of paper. I I can see it by the amount of work and how many teams are out there accomplishing objectives and tasks. And I can see it from the AR team as they excitedly tell me, "Hey, we got this in the mail today, or we got that dropped in the ACH," and um,
Super.
it's taking care of people. So
Yep.
as we add to our team, I want to make sure that we can take care of people. And I do have one individual who's been with me off and on my entire career. Who I would consider a good friend.
Hmm.
We kept crossing paths, and then
Hmm.
eventually it was like, hey, you want to grab a beer sometime? And we grabbed a beer, and then we hit it off. And we hunt together, we fish together, we break bread together. And it's not that I don't have a plan for when we add folks, but I've got someone I know I can trust to help build our team. And he's ready to jump at any moment.
Let me share with you, if I may.
Yeah.
When I first started my coaching program 19 years ago, I was down in Atlanta, Georgia, and Chick-fil-A headquarters is down there. Their headquarters gave free tours on a regular basis, and I would take my clients there twice a year to listen to their story about their sandwich, their philanthropy, and their vision. And it was interesting because they shared with us their reason that they hire great people. And it is 3 points. They hire first on character. If the person doesn't have the same character as the corporate entity does, there's going to be friction. The second is on chemistry. If you and I get along together, I look at your caller ID and I'm eager to answer your phone, then there's good chemistry there. And then the last thing that they hire on is their capability. So they look at just like you had shared, it just makes it very, very simple. Three pieces: their character, their chemistry, and then their capability. I have found and this was back in the early 20s, 2000s, that that philosophy. And today, it's more true than ever. Okay. Today, there is the environment. If we're not meeting the total environment, the total culture of your employees, there's going to be friction. And it's not going to be somebody that doesn't do a job properly. It's going to be one of those first two is the reason that there is a separation. So everything that you shared, I'm amplifying that. I'm simply also giving you the ability to clarify that and dumb it down into three categories. It makes everything work better. That's why your best employee is probably your wife, because you've got those three pieces already.
Yeah.
So, hey, listen, we have certainly covered a lot of ground today in our conversation. And for those of you that are watching, I highly encourage you to save this episode and come back a few times because I know that Ken has given us a lot of great nuggets. So before we finish up right now, I want to hit a section that I call rapid fire questions. It's just what's top of your mind, Ken. Are you ready for these?
Yes, sir.
Super. Ken, what is the key to your success?
Discipline.
Super. What's a piece of advice that you would give another business owner that's in your situation?
Keep your head down, keep your faith.
Awesome. Is there a book that you're currently reading or one that you've read that really inspired you?
I'll tell you, the last year I've spent the majority of my time in the Bible. And there's a lot of nuggets of wisdom in there.
Absolutely. Super, super, super. And if there was one area in your business that if I could give you a magic wand and tomorrow morning that would immediately improve, what would that area be?
Um, Visibility.
So you don't want common courtesy to be the best kept secret in the market, do you?
No, no, sir.
Good, 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 good. Okay, before we hit the last question, if there was somebody watching that wants to get in touch with you, either to discuss what you and I have discussed today or to become your next best new customer, what's the best way of them getting in touch with you?
They could call me directly on my cell.
Okay.
That's 614-940-1653, or they could email us at commoncourtesycleaning@gmail.com.
Super, super. So here's the last question. Ken, what do you find most inspiring today?
Uh, just waking up every day. I mean, my children, they lit the fire underneath me. Once upon a time, I was just floating around. Really didn't understand the point of much, um, but they're my inspiration. They
Super.
Without them, I'm not sure I'd be sitting here, Rick.
Great, great, great. Hey, Ken, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your journey. And for you, our audience, thank you for watching today. I was inspired. I hope you were too. Folks, make it a great day and bye for now.